Different's great, but being different for the sake of being different, I'm not a big fan of, right? If you just want to be different for the sake
technology
of it.
Technology, I would hide behind it.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes.
Because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Master Connector Show. I'm your co-host, Rob Genovesi, and we hope you are joining us live. We come live to you every single Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time here on LinkedIn. And after this is over, hey, you can catch the recording. We'll be streaming this out to, this will be on YouTube, it'll be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can catch the audio there. But listen, you want to tune in every single week because we're bringing you amazing, amazing guests. People, we're going to share their stories, skill sets, and experiences to help you level up. Because the name of the game is connecting with people who are going to help you advance your opportunity, create the freedom, the success, the prosperity that you want in your life. Because listen, we're all learning. We're all on a different path of various levels of understanding and discernment. And we all have gaps in the knowledge that we have. And the idea is to close those gaps with the knowledge you're missing in order to create a nice path. Never smooth, never straight, because success never is. It's a bit messy, but no doubt it will still get you there. And listen, we've got a special episode today. And today's episode is sponsored by Russ Hedge Consulting. Listen, Russ Hedge has over 30 years of sales and marketing success in multiple industries. Russ can help you be successful in your business by helping you truly connect, transform your business, connect to new customers. RussHedge.com. Thank you for sponsoring the episode, Russ Hedge. Good friend of the show. Please reach out to him. He can help you out for sure. And listen, if you want to see who else is coming up on the Master Connector Show, you're going to want to go to masterconnector.show. You're going to see the full lineup of who we've got going out. Now, listen, it's a small sampling on the website because we're not posting every single episode, but we're booked through the year. We're now going into 2026 with guests. And so listen, if you want to be a guest on the show, if you want to sponsor the show, we've got people coming in at high levels. We're talking authors, speakers, peoples of varying entrepreneurial success. People have accomplished things, TEDx speakers. We're bringing them all to you live every single week. And again, to help you make those connections, this is the Master Connector Show. You want to be connecting with people. So listen, if you're here, get in the comments, like this, share it out. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We have people tuning in from all around the country, but sometimes around the world. And the internet has made the world such a small place, a place where we can make valuable connections no matter where people are. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you got questions for us, for our guest, we would love to hear what you're thinking, what you want to know, because although we're going to get some good answers out of our guest today, we want to know, if you have a question you want answered, let us know what it is. Today's show, The Art of Meaningful Connections. Listen, I think the key word here is art. It's not a task. It's not a science. It's part science. It's part art. But if you're missing the art part, you're missing out. So listen, my buddy Steve and I, we go back 26 years, two former shy guys, two introverts. Well, you're not introverted anymore, clearly, because we've got the energy. We're bringing the relationships. We're bringing the interviews. We're bringing the connections to you. And we're doing all the work so you can just come here, learn, connect, make it real easy. But help me bring him. I'm a connector, but he's the master connector. Bring him to the show. Mr. Steve Spiro. What's up, Steve?
What's up, Robbie G? How you doing, sir? Good to see you. Yeah. It's been a wild journey. Wild journey for sure, but excited to do this with you and just take this new phase of our life together in what we're doing here on the Master Connector Show. So what's going on, everyone? Steve Spiro, the Master Connector, coming at you live and direct. And listen, we're pumped and excited to be with you. And this is one of my favorite topics because I chose to be the Master Connector, not the Master Networker, because to me it's all about connection, but it's all about meaningful connections. It's not about how many new connections you can have on LinkedIn or on whatever social your platform you're on, or if you're out there like I still do, meeting and greeting people, strangers and all that, stranger danger. it's not about adding new numbers. It's making real connection, right? Meaningful connections. And you're going to hear a lot about that from our guest today, but it's, a big part for me on how I've been able to do that. And it's some of the pillars of our show is one, being authentic, sharing some of those authenticities, those vulnerabilities, things about yourself, breaks barriers down by sharing those things. It's about being others focused. Our guest, you'll hear from Robert in a short minute, was on just before with Rob before I got on, and he was already offering things. So it's giving selflessly, without agenda, without any expecting something in return. So these are just small ways in which you can do it. It's casting your vision and sharing your vision with people, and because people buy into your vision, they're not going to buy into. They don't buy into logic; they buy into emotion. And through being authentic and sharing your vision and what you're looking to accomplish in your life, and vision is really feeling based. It's not, logic based necessarily, right? That would be more of a goal or a sort of a plan, but a vision is kind of what you're looking to accomplish. So hopefully you have a vision. If not, I highly recommend you do that. But we're gonna have a great time, and I am just pumped. So I want to have now, if you're ready, type in your comments hashtag Let's Go. But let's bring up my main man, Mr. Rob Genovesi, to bring up our co-host today.
All right, let's go, everybody. Robert Butwin is a best-selling author, speaker, and elite networker known for his expertise in transforming entrepreneurial visions into reality. As the author of Street Smart Networking and an educational content producer, his insights have been featured in professional trade journals. With a proven track record as a top income earner based on helping others succeed, Robert's influence extends across Europe and Asia, where he mentors entrepreneurs in creating meaningful connections and accelerating success. Please welcome to the show, Robert Butwin. What's up, Robert?
There's a lot of things up. I'm really grateful to be here. I met Steve many, many years ago. We hit it off immediately because we
Absolutely
are cut from the same cloth.
Very much so. And Robert, you're one of the few folks that we appreciate so much. We have you back on again because that is rare air. We don't have a lot of repeat performers, if you will. So you're part of our alumni, if you will, Master Connector alumni. Last time you were on, you were with Cameron, my other previous co-host. So we just appreciate you big time. But want to just acknowledge a few folks on here. Michael Barone, my good friend Michael, who we met randomly a couple different times out and about, but we reconnected through a networking. Christine, new friend I met through Margaret. Samuel, good having you on here again, sir. Appreciate you. And Yolanda, amazing, the Yolanda on here. And Max, we met at the airport. Max Gale, good to see you, Max. Max and his lovely wife, Gabby. Great to have the chance to meet you. But excited. So James Bogle, just want to acknowledge James Bogey here. Sorry about that, James. But I appreciate everyone. Listen, let's get right into it. We know you have a tremendous amount of knowledge and wisdom to share with us. So let's get into it now. So I was mentioning the difference between connection and networking, connecting and networking, and also sometimes it's getting to the right network. So I want to kind of ask you this question. So community, type in hashtag right network. And here's the question for you, Robert, right? How can someone make sure that they are casting the right net when building their network?
How can they cast the right net? The key, the question you always want to ask yourself, is your net working when you're networking? People don't go to networking events to get pitched to. Really what you're pitching is why somebody wants to do a one-on-one. It's how you show up. I'm always showing up to be of value. Whenever I'm having a conversation, in fact, I was having a conversation just yesterday, Steve, with a guy that a guy named Jeremy Wagner. And he mentioned your name because you always want to have top of the mind awareness when you're sharing information, sharing resources, insights. So, you want to take a look at, is what you're doing working? And if it isn't, ask yourself, what kind of modifications might I make that would make sure that my net is working when I'm networking?
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Yeah, when we had prepped you for the show, you had wrote that statement, and I was trying to figure out what that meant, but it makes tons of sense when you explain it, right? Because could you say that phrase again? The network when you network. Say it again, please.
Is your net working when you're networking? If you're consistently doing something over and over again and not getting the results you're looking for, you've got to do that self evaluation and ask yourself those tough questions. What kind of minor modification might I make that will give me better results as it relates to what I'm doing?
I want to emphasize something you said, Robert, to our audience. And, when I started networking back in 2019, after being in corporate for 25 years, I went full time in my own business. The idea behind networking, to me, I never liked that transactional thing. I'm very much a relationship oriented guy. And there's a lot of people who aren't, and that's okay. But what you said was add value. And I know this. Look, Steve meets way more people than I do, but I've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of face-to-face meetings with people on Zoom and in person over the years. And I keep seeing people not bringing value to the table, especially in this day and age. And when you talk about making those minor modifications, what can a person do to add value? Because I think people think, well, I don't want to give away what I do because then they won't pay for it. But everybody can give something. Can you give us an example of what you mean by that?
Definitely can. I mean, think about it. When I popped in the back room, what did I do? I added value to you. See, I've got a lot of different resources. Resources come in a variety of different forms. Your connections are a resource. Networking groups are a resource. When March of 2020 happened, I started compiling different networking events online. Now with AI, I gave you a couple different resources. Again, I love the phrase from BNI is givers gain. The more that you give, the more it comes back to you. So if nothing else, it's going to create that reputation, the kind of reputation. I get referrals all the time because people know that I'm a value add. So there's many different ways that you can share resources without having that scarcity mentality. You want to have an abundance mentality.
And by the way, to our audience, Robert is a networker, right? He's the elite networker, speaks on it, wrote a book on it. And what he gave me, like, we first got to Robert and I hadn't met before, right? We just met in the green room, right? And he asked me a question, and then he's like, here, check this out. Now, they had nothing to do with networking necessarily, but he gave me a resource, or several, actually 3 at least, that I can use. So how does that make me feel about Robert? I'm like, this guy's all right, man. I just met him and he's already giving me something. And what did it cost you to give that, Robert? Like nothing, right?
Yeah. Nothing. There's a gain. Again, the key is how you elevate yourself in the mind of who when you first meet somebody. It's how you position yourself, and you've got to be congruent. Obviously, you want to make sure that you're going to be authentic, and you got to be congruent throughout that whole relationship, because the whole key is how you create the art of meaningful connections.
Love it. I want to acknowledge James is saying this. I think my best quality as a network is I approach people with genuine curiosity. I want to learn about what other people do and why, and what they know, which is along the lines of what we're talking about. So, Robert, you mentioned before, 2020, kind of alluding to the COVID crazy lockdown, and we kind of shifted things for us big time. And I know you have, I think it's a book called Shift, or you have a networking event called Shift Happens. So I'm sure you'll tell us more about that at some point. But here's what I want to ask you. And so community, type in hashtag virtual traps. So Robert, what's the biggest mistake people make when trying to form meaningful relationships online and meaningful connections online? Talk about that.
The biggest mistakes that I see people make is they're too focused on attracting clients or customers rather than thinking about collaborations. Number one. Number two is they're not branding themselves. They're branding something that they represent. They're not talking about the pain point. It's like one of the things I learned, and you mentioned about my business partner, who's an amazing guy. His website is shifthappens.com. He's helped some large companies increase sales over $3 billion, but he helped me understand in the box thinking. And there's a whole story behind it. But every time I have a conversation with somebody, I understand they're in their box if they're doing anything at all. And I want to get in the box and understand 3D thinking. It's understand the depth of what's going on in their world, the distance from where they are to where they want to be, and the determination. And then I figure out what I can do to be of value for them.
That's awesome. That's great. I love that. That is amazing. And so, you mentioned before about authenticity, and I also talked about it a bit. I think it's so important today. So community, type in hashtag real connections. So here's the question we want to dig in on this piece of it, right? So how can authenticity make or break your networking success in today's virtual world?
From my perspective, people are more, they're able to judge and do research on who you are. So you want to make sure that you're congruent. If you're going to if you tell somebody you're going to do something, like I got off a one-on-one earlier today, and I told them I was going to send something. So within minutes, I sent them something. You want to set up some kind of systematic approach to follow up on people. One of the guys that I've developed a relationship besides Shift Happen is Tom Gay with Engage Pro. He started refer.com. So there's a systematic way of making that chance meeting wherever you meet somebody and developing it into a meaningful connection.
Love that. Yeah.
There's a part of that that I just want to dissect a quick second. Was you said that offer something, and then when you get off with them, you send it right away. Now, I think a lot of people would view that, Robert, as, look, I don't have the time to do that kind of thing. And actually, depending on what you're giving, it may only take 5 minutes, right? If it's a digital resource or a paper or something, a book referral. If it's something physical, clearly, and you got to mail it, it's a different story. But to be able to do something, which I call predicting the future. If you say you're going to do something, you do it, right? Which is, right, a novel concept. But the fact is, most people say what they're going to do and they don't do it. So the separating factor is, you do it right away. People go, wow, like, he said he was going to do it. He actually did it. It's crazy to think that that's a separating factor in this world, but I'm sure you find that very effective.
I do. And then the other part of being effective is setting some kind of systematic follow-up. Today with Calendar, you can preset your messages like 4 days later. And so I invite them, because when I first meet somebody, I'm always talking about collaboration. And I let them know, I look at networking sort of like dating. Why go on a date to see if you want a second date? Well, the first date is all about them. The second date, I've planted the seeds about possible collaborations, because again, I'm focused on long-term, meaningful relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good stuff. So one of the things that I do, if it helps community, is I actually have a Google Sheet open, and it has some resources for me. And as we're winding up the call, or as we're speaking about it, I literally send it while we're speaking. So people are like on a call with me, and they're getting barraged with calendar invites or emails. And they're like, "Oh, wow, you're fast." I was like, "Yeah." I just tell them, and this is true. I love the book Magic of Thinking Big, and one of the big things in that book, it says, "Do it now." And I've learned to just do it now, because if I don't do it, it doesn't get done a lot of times. And I agree with you, and I love what you're saying on the follow up. I may not be as technically adept as you are, Robert, but I just use a calendar invite for myself to remind myself about doing something, or I'll bookmark something to just remind myself about that I need to follow up, or whatever it happens to be, right? But I also, what I like to do is invite them to something. So this way, there's another connection, another interaction, something I'm going to see them, because I believe relationships are not built just through one-time interactions. It's got to be an ongoing, type of thing. So I love inviting them to a networking event that I'm having, or maybe it's the Master Connector show and come watch the show, whatever it happens to be. But I want to just pull out here real quickly what Michael said. So if you're saying, if you're going to do it, then you do it. I think it's called being impeccable with your word, and something I'm consciously working on excelling at. So important. Very good, Michael. Appreciate that. And Yolanda, keep your word, shows respect for the other person's time. Absolutely, 100%. Good stuff. All right, let's keep the ball rolling here, Robert. So let's talk about relationships, and we're this is a big part of, right, connections, but relationships. For me, taking it to a relationship status from a connection, that's the key here. Taking it outside the platform. So type in community hashtag relationship building. So what are some signs, Robert, that a new connection could turn into a powerful long-term relationship?
First of all, I want to go back to what you said beforehand.
Yeah, please.
I'm always inviting people. One of the things I always give people are the different networking events that I typically show up at. I'll either put it
Sure.
in chat on Zoom or it'll be part of the email. It's sort of what you talked about.
Yeah.
I've got a draft file. So, I've, based on whatever's appropriate when I'm having that connection, that's why I can go back, copy and paste it and send it directly to that person. And the other thing that you talked about, my ability with technology is not that good, but I've attracted people around me that do it for me. So
Yeah, of course.
I believe in staying in your state of genius, which mine is number one, networking, and number two, developing meaningful relationships. So you start talking about developing meaningful relationships. Oh, and
Yeah.
the other part is I've created a community. So I'm watching to see, do they get back to me? Do they show up at some place that I've told them about? And then,
Yeah.
people are always judging you based on how you show up and what you do and how you say whatever it is that you're going to say. And part of it, it's like some of the people that I've developed relationships, um, I give them accolades. They give me accolades when I'm there because of the fact that we've got that relationship going.
Love it. Love it. Good stuff. So, hey, so I want to kind of shift over a little bit here, right? So, one of the things I've heard is, it's not just necessarily the depth, right? So the depth of how many people you're connected with, but not just the width of how many people, but the depth, right, of the relationship itself. So, let's dig into this a little bit more. So you may type in that, hashtag depth, not width, right? And how do you suggest people approach networking differently when they're looking for depth over volume?
Well, all I can do is relate with myself. When I was networking, I found people that had skill sets that I didn't have. And so that it was like the right team, the right people fitting together, be it
Yeah.
James Felton, Tom Gay, another one is Maury Zukovich, another one is Gary Rogers. These are people that I've all met since March of 2020, and I've developed that depth. But they're people I can depend upon, count upon. They're givers just like myself. It's not all about the transactions. One of the things I learned from Tom Gay, and I mentioned this earlier, it's the relationship currency.
Yep.
Part of it, and we talk about the shifts. Obviously, when I started my career in the business world, it was about making a lot of money. My shift happened when I was at a networking event and somebody asked a simple question: what's the meaning of life? And the guy responded, is to live a life of meaning. My purpose at this point is to live a life of meaning, knowing that anytime I have a conversation with somebody, that I had a positive impact in them. And the people that are just in it for the transactions, obviously people like transactions, but they're not my kind of people. It's about making a positive impact. There's a lot of sharks in the water. One of our 70-year friend, Harvey McKay, who wrote the book Swim with the Sharks, and a more meaningful book that he wrote is Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. And that's become one of my networking Bibles.
Love it. Robbie J.
One of the things, to dig into the depth, not width part, we meet people all the time, right? They're like, they collect business cards, they give out business cards, and it's like they feel like if I've got 1 million followers or connections on LinkedIn, I'm doing something, when really they don't even know the people. And look, we all have people we don't know who we're connected with, but when we're networking, especially in person, people tend to collect names and numbers, and it makes them feel good, like I'm networking. And the fact is this, I think a better approach, and this is what Robert is going at, audience, is the depth of this. Look at it this way. My perspective when I started networking was not how many people can I meet. Every time I met somebody, when I got on with them, I had a question in my mind. Is this somebody I can go deep with? Is this somebody I can potentially collaborate with? Because everybody knows this. You can't really do anything really big without the help of other people. You can do a few things small by yourself, and that's great. But if you want to do something big, if you want to, whether it's X amount of revenue, whether it's an empire of sorts, like people like to say, something big, you need other people. And if you need other people, better, I'm going to change a word. I'm not even going to use the word, but the new word is who am I vibing with? I can meet all kinds of people who are very smart and very successful, but who do I vibe with that, like, hey, when we do something together, we complement each other in a way that helps us achieve something greater than either of us on our own. Would you say that's accurate, Robert? And we talked about with depth?
100% accurate. And I'd like to add one other thing to it. Who am I vibing with, and who's got a similar, and this goes back to what you said in the opening, similar vision. I love the acronym of TEAM, which is together everybody achieves mastery.
Yep.
Who is, if people ask me, who am I really interested in meeting? It's people that are serious and committed about making a difference. Those are the kind of people that I want to be involved with.
Love that. Yeah. So last thing I want to dig in, and then we're going to wrap up the show here. So, again, there's a lot of activity. By the way, great job, net community. I see Michael and Christine, exchanging contact information. Phenomenal. Get in the comments, connect with each other. That's what this is about, right? But I want to talk about standing out, right? So it's, one thing is the activity, but the other thing is standing out. And so community, type in hashtag standout strategy. And so in a sea of digital noise, what's the best way to stand out and attract the right people, Robert?
A lot of it is consistently get into action. The law of attraction is the last part of it is action. I know my numbers, and it's always a focus about giving up front. But my numbers, I do approximately 30 to 40 hours of networking a month. I do from that, it nets me approximately 80 one-on-ones, and I've got a systematic approach that in the right people, and there's an expression I'm sure you have heard, the cream will rise, the people that you seem to vibe with. And again, one of the things, as you started this show, you talked about introverts. I take a look, both of you are introvert. My wife tells me I'm an introvert. Ivan Meisner, the founder of BNI, was an introvert. Now we're what we call situational extroverts. We realize that, to make those connections, it's asking the right questions, listening, focused on being of value, and having that vision that you see this relationship going in the right direction. But if nothing else, I always know that I'm going to be of value to the other person.
Love that. That's great. So amazing community. We're just so blessed to have Robert on with us here. I almost don't want to end it, but we need to. But I know, Robert, you have an offer that you'd like to share with our community. Could you just share a little bit about that, and what's the best way for our community to reach you? And by the way, welcome, Philip, the Phenom is in the house. I appreciate you, Phenom. It was good chatting with you and getting to know you today. But Robert, tell everyone about your offer, please.
Sure. No matter what's going on in your world, the one thing that as it relates to my offers, I know that I can be of value to you. Typically, the three questions I ask: tell me what you do, what you're doing to expand what you do, and then let me figure out, as it relates to whatever other questions I might ask, showing up and being of value and keeping that door open to developing a long-term relationship. So my offer is a complimentary conversation that I will guarantee you that I will help you elevate and accelerate the things that you're doing in your business or your life. I'm a guy that's, I haven't worked a job since September 7th, 1990. I'm what they call psychologically unemployable. And I can guarantee you that I can help you. And so that's my offer, a complimentary conversation.
Love that. Take advantage of community and make sure you mention to him you saw or heard of them through the Master Connector show. But Robert, we appreciate it. Best way to reach you, LinkedIn. What's the best way for community to get you?
LinkedIn, email, which is butwin@gmail, BUTWIN, or my Calendly is calendly.com/Butwin, BUTWIN. Here's how I always end every networking call. My name is Robert Butwin, and what I really want you to remember is when you connect with Robert, you'll do nothing but win.
I love that. But win. Robert, it was a pleasure. Thank you again. Appreciate you. And we'll have you wait for us in the green room. Appreciate you. All right. Awesome. Well, listen, amazing, right? So that's why you want to tune in every week, Wednesday at 1 p.m. EST. Go to the masterconnector.show to learn more about that. But this coming week, I'll be in Bali, Singapore. I know you guys are going to feel bad for me, but Rob is going to be holding the reins. So please be there, be square, and support. But more importantly, do it for you, not because Rob needs the support. He's great. But episode 210, which is Shining the Light and Breaking Silence with Olivia Nunn. She has also been on the show before. Incredible. She served in the military. Amazing lady, incredible leader. That's next week. So join us for sure. And go to the masterconnector.show website to learn more about what's coming and learn more about it. But I want to close with a quick story, right? Whitney Wolf Herd built her success around fostering meaningful relationships. After co-founding Tinder, she launched Bumble, a dating app designed to empower women and encourage genuine connections. That vision paid off. Bumble has facilitated over 8.6 billion connections, proving that how network-first approach turned a simple idea into a global success. Folks, let's make sure to connect in a meaningful way, not look to pitch, that's ditch to pitch. Let's connect. Let's enrich and enhance people's lives so we can ultimately shine our light. God bless. See you next week.
And you start to hear some of their challenges, and yes,
because it speaks to the core of who you are and what drives you forward. Because what makes you different is what drives you.